Okay, I grabbed my stuff already, and we're gonna be doing the muzzle. Okay, so I got my white yarn, and this is the Red Heart Super Saver in white. Okay, and then I'm gonna be using my 4mm hook. I'm gonna use my little stitch markers because we're gonna be working in the round. And working in the round means that you do not join with a slip stitch at the end. So you have to mark where your stitch ends or begins, kind of like that. As we work along, we'll check so that you can know how many rounds you're doing. Okay, so I'm gonna work in a magic circle. So I'm gonna do my magic circle. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and do my, oh, whoops. Go ahead and do my magic circle. Okay, so here's my magic circle. And I'm gonna start with 6, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and do single crochets into my magic circle. And how you do that is you go through the circle, you pick up your yarn, you go up. So go through the circle, you pick up your yarn, you go up, and then you yarn over and go through the 2 loops, okay? So we're gonna do 6 of those. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and I'm gonna close my circle. So I grab my little, I'm gonna be closing my circle. Uh-oh. There's a knot in my circle and I hadn't even noticed it. Okay. So the reason why my circle didn't go all the way through is because I have a little knot in my yarn and I didn't even notice. So be careful with that. So I'm gonna have to start all over again. Okay. So there's a knot in there. Okay, so this is a knot. That's why I couldn't move it. So I'm gonna grab my scissors. Where are my scissors? See, I had them here, and now I don't. Okay, there you go. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut the. Yeah, I didn't make sure that there's no go through your. I like that. Make sure there's no little. Okay, so I'm gonna start my little magic circle. Oh my goodness, I lost my hook now. Okay. Magic circle, and I'm gonna do 6, okay? So I'm gonna go through the hole, pick it up, turn over and go through. Go, pick up. So remember, I'm doing single crochets and I'm gonna be doing 6. I did 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm gonna count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have 6. Okay, so now I'm gonna close my circle. See how easy that was without the little knot in there? So I'm gonna look for my beginning stitch so I can, oh no, I forgot, we're doing in the rounds, right? So I'm gonna use actually this one because it's so small that I don't think I'm gonna be able to put my little pin there. So I'm gonna grab just a scrap of yarn, it's a different color, and I'm gonna put it in between where we would normally do a slip stitch. I'm gonna go ahead and put it like so, okay? And I'm gonna keep on working so I can know that this is my last stitch and this is my beginning stitch. So I'm gonna go through my beginning stitch and look for it. Okay. It's so hard when it's like a white color and stuff like that. So I'm gonna, okay, I found it. I'm gonna go through, pick up my yarn, okay, and I'm gonna do a single crochet, okay. So now I'm gonna be doing 2 single crochets in each stitch, working in the round, okay. So in the same one, I'm gonna poke it through, pick it up, and go ahead and do 2 single crochets. I'm gonna go ahead. Okay. Okay, in the same stitch I'm going through. Okay. Sorry. It's just a little hard to see. So I'm gonna poke through. Same stitch. And it's good to count when you're going to in the round so you can know how many you have, because then if not, you're gonna have to go back and count, like I'm gonna have to do because I haven't been counting. I'm so concentrated in getting the stitches through in the right holes because it's white and it's really hard to see too. Okay, I'm gonna go through. So I'm gonna end up with 12. I'm gonna end up with 12. Okay, go ahead. And this is gonna be my last one. Okay. And I'm gonna count to make sure that I have 12. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna count after my little stitch right here. It's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and I need to do one more. 12. Okay. Let me just recount that because I think I'm doing it wrong. Okay, again. So this is my last stitch, and I know this is my last one. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12. So you see 12 stitches. Okay. So now what I'm gonna do so I don't lose it again, I'm gonna grab the same one and I'm gonna put it towards the back so I know where my last stitch ends and my first one begins. So I'm gonna check my pattern, and it says for the next one it's gonna be a pattern. I'm gonna do a first single crochet in the first stitch, then I'm gonna do in the next one 2 single crochets in the same stitch, and then I'm gonna keep on going until I have 18 single crochets. So let's do this. Okay, so I'm gonna go through the first one, pull my yarn, and that's 1 single crochet, and then I'm gonna go to the next stitch and I'm gonna do 2. So that's 1, then same stitch, go through, and that's another one. In the next one I'm gonna do 1. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then on the next one I'm gonna do 2. So that's 4, and it's 5, 6. Okay, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and I'm gonna, in the next one I'm gonna do 2, so that's 10, and then I'm gonna do 10, 11, 12, and that's in the same stitch, and then 13, that's only 1, 13, and 14, that's 2, 15, 16, 1, I think I missed one, let me see, Okay, so let me just double check. 1, 1, 2. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12. Okay, 12, and that's 2. Okay, 12, and that's 12, 13. Okay, 13, it should be in 1, 13, and then 14, 14, 15, and then 16, that's only 1, 16, and then in the last one is going to be 17 and 18, 17, and then 18, 18, okay, so that's 18, and then I'm going to pick up my yarn and then flip it this way, my little mark, to make sure that I know where it ends. The 18th one ends, okay? So now we're gonna go to the next round, and that's gonna be 2 single crochets in the first stitch, and then 2 single crochets in the first stitch, and then we're gonna have until we have 24. So we're gonna do 2 single crochets in each one until we have 24. Okay? Let's see. So 1, okay, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay. 21, 22, 23, 24. So that means that I read my pattern wrong. I need to do 2 single crochets in the first one and 2 single crochets in the last one, so I can have 24. So let's see. Okay. So we're gonna do 1, 2. Okay. That's 2. Then we're gonna do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, oops, 18, 19, 19. We're gonna do 2 double crochets. 19. Okay, 19, and I'm gonna do another single crochet in the same stitch. 19, 20, 21, 22 in the same one, 23, 24. Okay, 24. And we are going to join this. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and join. We're gonna find our first stitch and then we're gonna slip stitch to join. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and slip stitch. That looks awkward. Okay, I'm gonna start all over again because it doesn't make sense. Okay, so this is it. So we have to have 24 stitches. Okay, see? Okay, we're gonna do one single crochet, so it's gonna be, okay, so we're gonna do 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so that's 4, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Okay, 25, 26, 27, 28, 30, 31. Okay, so I'm gonna join. I think I miswrote my pattern, and it says two single crochets in each stitch until you end. So I thought for some reason it was gonna be 24, but it's not. So I'm gonna go ahead and slip stitch into the beginning so I can go ahead and close my round. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and look for my first stitch, and then I'm gonna slip stitch, and this is my little mussel right here. I'm gonna go ahead and fasten off just like I did in the big circle. Yeah, sorry about that. I think I miswrote my pattern for some reason. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave it like that. Okay. Probably if you check the red heart pattern, you'll um, see it better, but I mean, it's a circle, it's fine. Like I told you, I'm not very exact. I should, but I mean, for little things like that, it doesn't matter. So now I'm gonna go ahead and start my assembly. So I'm gonna get all my stuff together and I'm gonna come back so we can assemble it together, okay? Okay, I grabbed a brown washable marker because that's the only thing I have in hand. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it the way exactly that I want it. And then I'm gonna do a backwards triangle, okay? And then I'm gonna extend it and then do like 2 loops, okay? So it's gonna look kind of like an anchor. So I'm gonna go ahead and cap it. And then I'm gonna start my embroidery. So I'm gonna start from the back, just because I don't want to show my knot, and I want for more security. So I'm gonna do a satin stitch to fill in the triangle, okay? And how you do this is by starting on one side, and then I'm gonna pick up a little bit, and then I'm gonna go through to the other side, very close, okay? And then I'm gonna just go through, and that's the reason why I have the needle that has a very fine tip, because I'm not going all the way through the yarn. I'm actually doing it on top of the top yarn, and it's not going all the way through the loops. It's actually, I'm just basically doing the satin stitch on top of the loops. So I'm gonna be doing that, and I'm gonna follow my little template. So I'm gonna be decreasing as I go along to make that little triangle, okay? And I'm going through again, and I want to make sure it's not too tight, so I'm gonna be checking my stitches, and if it's tight, I just pull it up. So I'm gonna go again, and I'm gonna start getting smaller. And there's a lot of different tutorials out there for the satin stitch. Just make sure that you're not pulling too tight so that it's not coming really tapered really quick. Make sure there's like a degradation of from widest to narrow. So I'm grabbing again as close as I can, and I'm doing it through the top. I'm not going all the way through the whole bulk. I'm just, okay? And then I think this is my last stitch for the triangle, and then I'm gonna go and do like a regular line embroidery stitch for this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go and poke all the way through. So I'm going through, okay, making sure that it goes all through, and then I'm gonna come up again in the same place. I'm gonna try to come up in the same place. Okay. Okay, I'm coming up in the same place. And that's the reason why it's very important to have this one as well, that has the little tip as well. Then the other one that is just like one big bulk. So where is it? Here it is. Where is it? Let me show you the difference. This one's a regular tapestry needle, okay? And this is my embroidery long needle. In this one I use it only to embroider crochet to like the crochet hats or things like that. I don't use it for anything else. I don't use it for my regular needlework because it's too thick and it makes really big holes and it doesn't look pretty. But this is just for this particular use. Okay, and I got this at the 99 cent store. I bought a pack of different size needles and it came there. Okay, so I'm grabbing and I'm gonna go ahead and go through the loop, okay, to make sure that I'm gonna follow it. Okay, there you go. So I'm gonna go again through. Okay, there, let me see if I can show you. And then I'm gonna, since I'm embroidering through the top, I want to make sure that I'm grabbing only the top. I'm not going all the way through the stitch. I'm just grabbing the top of the stitch. Okay, make sure that I'm going through the hole to keep it in the same direction. And then I'm going up and I'm only grabbing the top of the stitches. I'm not going all the way through. I'm grabbing only the top of the stitches. Okay. Because if I were to go all the way through like that or use the other needle, there would be holes. And I want it to be very, very tight. So again, I'm going to go through the very top. Okay. And this is where it flares to each side. So I'm going to go ahead and, okay. And I'm going to go to the side. So I'm going to go ahead and go through my previous stitch, okay, because I'm going to go the other direction and I'm going to start with my little half smile. So I'm going to go through the top of the stitches. I'm not going all the way through. Okay, and I'm going to change my direction. So I'm going to make sure my yarn has the same, go through to change direction. Okay, let me just double check that. Okay. No, I need to go the other way. Okay, I need my yarn to be on this side. So, okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and grab another piece. Make sure that I stay on the top stitches and my floss doesn't go too deep. Just stay in the top stitches. Okay, making sure that the floss is going the direction that I want. Okay, so you're just gonna do a line embroidery stitch, and there's different ones. This is the one that I know how to do and I like the way that it looks for this. It's like, it's not like super perfect, but it's okay. And whatever marker shows after you're done, you can grab like a wet cloth and you can just rub it off and it'll come off with those washable markers. You don't need soap, you don't need anything. You just clean it off with a little piece of wet rag and it will work perfect. So now I'm going up as the smile goes up, and again, remember, make sure that you are only picking up the top yarn. You're not going all the way through. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and make my last stitch for this side. Okay, and I'm gonna go all the way through now because I'm gonna go to the other side. Okay, And this is how it's looking. So it's the inverted triangle. It goes down into like J, and then I'm gonna do a backward J over here. So now that I'm on the other side, I'm not gonna take off my floss since I'm gonna glue in the back. You're not gonna be able to see, so I'm gonna go ahead and go through and try to land on the other side. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to the middle. Okay. Oh, let me see, let me check. Okay, there. So I'm gonna go through, and again, I'm not tightening it a lot, so I'm gonna go through and I'm in the middle. Okay, now I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna flip it so that I can kind of like check, and I'm gonna go ahead and pick up the stitches through the top. Again, I will not be going all the way through the little bump or the muscle that you want to call it, and I'm gonna be picking up only the stitches on the top. Okay, and this will give me a better result. Okay, this will give me a better result than if I were to go all the way through. It just makes it better. So I'm gonna go ahead and just pick up the top stitches, and I'm gonna keep on going like this. Okay, making sure that I have the yarn or the floss, sorry, in the right direction. So let me see how I'm gonna, okay. So I'm gonna keep on going, one more stitch, and then I'm gonna start curving up. So I'm gonna make sure, okay, and I have the floss in the wrong side, and I'm gonna start curving up. So I'm gonna make another little stitch here, making sure I'm curving up. Making sure also that my yarn it's in the right side so that there's not too much. Okay, now I'm gonna be going up, and as you're gonna see, there's gonna be the markings are gonna be like a little bit of a mess, but I'm just gonna grab a little piece of wet rag, and I'm gonna clean it up. So I'm gonna go another stitch, and this is gonna be my last stitch for the mouth. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and check my stitch, make sure that that's how I want it, and yes, that is the exact shape that I want. So I'm gonna go ahead and poke my needle all the way through, and then I'm gonna make a securing stitch in the back, and then I'm gonna cut it off. So making sure that I'm always stretching and I'm not causing the applique a lot of tension, because then I'll curl up. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a fastening knot as if for anything. And like you saw, I really didn't hide a lot of the tails, just because, like, again, I'm gonna be gluing the back, so I really don't need to work a lot in hiding those, just making sure that those parts that are gonna be showing don't have the tails and they look very neat. So again, okay, do this. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and fasten off. I'm gonna go ahead and put this away, and I'm gonna flatten it out, and here you go. This is gonna be the mouth. Okay, now I'm gonna put these in, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pin them. I'm gonna pin them in place, and then I'm gonna sew them, because if I don't pin them in place, they're not very good. So I tried doing it like this, but okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and pin it in place. Okay, so let's see. Okay, I'm gonna try it like this. The other one I did it through the front, but this one I'm gonna do it through the back. So that's where I want it, and I'm gonna go ahead and pin it, and then I'm gonna glue the eyes, and then I'm gonna check it again to make sure that the ears are exactly where I want them. And I want the ears to flap like so. So I want to make sure that they're gonna be in the right position and they're not gonna obscure the eye. So I'm gonna, okay, straight across right here. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and pin this one through the back. Okay, making sure that they're pinned, and they're kind of pinned like in an angle, and I just position it and pin it. I don't really make sure that they're like super in the same place. It's just I make sure they are symmetrical, and that when I turn it around, it looks good. You see, so this is the flapping ears. So now I'm gonna position the eyes. Okay. And by this time, my machine is already very hot, my glue gun. And then I'm gonna go ahead and sew the ears together to the base, and then I'm gonna make the eyes, the little bow that I put on the other one. Okay, so I got my eyes already, my little googly eyes. I wish I could have found them or remembered I even had them last time. I was such a mess the other day that it was really hard. Usually I have a little tweezers, but I can't find them, so I guess that's how I'm gonna have to work. Okay, there's another eye here. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make sure that the ears are exactly where I want them to be, okay? And then I'm gonna glue them. And this is kind of like a one thing kind of thing. Once you put it in, that's it. So I'm gonna make sure that the eyes that I have work properly. Okay, there you go. And I'm gonna glue it in place. So I'm gonna go ahead and do one dot here. I'm gonna grab the eye and I'm gonna go ahead and place it where I want it. Okay. And I'm gonna grab the other eye, kind of eyeball it. Okay. Now I'm gonna grab the eye and kind of put it in place, making sure that it's that they are symmetrical, because once the glue dries, it dries. Like that is it. And I touched my glue a little bit, so it's a little bit white on the ends. So all I have to do is cut it off. Cut the glue off to clean it up, because you cannot be pulling. You're going to bring all the fibers of it with you. So I'm going to go ahead and clean it up a little bit before I forget. Okay, I'm not cutting the stitch, I'm just cutting the very tip of it. So I'm going to take this off. Okay, now I'm going to need it again when I do my, so this is it. Maybe I should have gotten bigger eyes, but these are okay. Okay, there you go. If you want to cut your own eyes, what you do is you grab black felt, okay, and you cut circles, you see, you cut circles, and these are a little bit bigger, but I don't need them that big. I like the googly eyes. I like them better. So you cut circles, and then you cut a white circle, and you put it in. You put the white circle, and then you put the black circle, and then you cut another little white circle, and you stack it like the highlight. So you do the white circle, and then you put the black circle, and then you do a little, and then you do a little piece of white here. So it's gonna look like that, kind of like that. If you want to see how it looks, to see what bit looks better, you can go ahead and go into my crochet story, and towards the mid, I think it's part 2 or 3, it has it there. It has a video showing you the end result for the one that I gave my neighbor, and that one I did do the eyes myself, and I did it out of the felt fabric. So now I'm gonna go ahead and sew my ears together, and for that I'm gonna use brown yarn, the same one I used for the bottom of the applique, or the base of the applique. And I'm gonna be using my thick needle if I can find it. I am everywhere right now. Let me see. Okay, there you go. So I'm gonna be using the needle, the tapestry needle that I use to sew the muscle in on the applique. So I got it. Okay, I'm just gonna knot the end, and I knot it just so it can give me a little bit of resistance when I come back to it. But usually you just have to fasten it as well. Just with the knot, it's not gonna hold it in place. Okay, so you have to make sure that you go back on the stitch, and then you make a secure stitch. So there I slipped the yarn, I split the yarn and went through it to do a securing stitch. So I'm just gonna be going back and forth like I did with the muscle, but I'm gonna keep the stitches very tight, like right next to each other. Okay, and I haven't removed the pin. I still have the pin to hold it so that it doesn't go anywhere. And this is gonna be invisible in the front, even if the ears flap or whatever, or they go off and you see in the inside, you're not gonna be able to see the yarn that is holding the ear together. Like I said, I will be gluing the back to a piece of felt, so it's gonna cover all of that, and it's gonna sandwich it in. So I'm gonna be doing a securing stitch for this side. Okay, so I grab my pin and I remove it. Okay, so I'm gonna go like this, and I'm gonna do a securing stitch. Oh, okay, and I just lost my yarn, so I'm gonna go ahead and do a knot. Okay, and I'm gonna cut off. And as you can see, my back is not that clean. It's a mess. And if this was an applique, I would really take time to clean it up and make sure that the front matches the back, because you will be able to see it through the afghan or whatever you're gonna be putting it on. But yeah, with this one, I'm not so concerned, because like I said, I will be gluing a piece of felt to the back, and it's not gonna show. So I did okay, I again look at it, making sure that it's exactly where I want it to be, and I'm gonna go ahead and start sewing it to it. And I'm keeping the pin in there, remember, just to make sure that it holds it exactly where I want it. And then the first, okay, on this one I wasn't able to split the yarn just because it's right on the edge, so I'm gonna do a securing knot And by that I'll do the stitch, and then I'm gonna go through the, I'm gonna secure it, and then I'm gonna go again, just front to back, and I'm gonna be doing the stitch across, and you're gonna see that you're not gonna be able to see it through the front. Just making sure that I keep the stitches very close together so that it doesn't fall or move, and it stays exactly where I want it to stay. Okay. And this is what I mean when I tell you that it's right through the stitches, because I'm going straight through. I'm going straight through, and I'm back stitching too. Just on this side, because this one I'm doing it very close to the edge, and I want to make sure it's very, very secure. The other one I didn't back stitch it. I just stitched across, and I was very very careful to make sure that all the stitches were nice and close. But this one's so close to the edge, it's really hardly any fabric that it's staying in the back, that the circle that I'm gonna glue on it might not hold it completely. So I want to make sure that it doesn't go nowhere, because my little girl's gonna be wearing it, and most likely she's going to be running around with it, and it's gonna be bouncing in her head, and I want to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. So I'm doing a knot in the back to secure it, and I'm gonna snip it off. Okay, and I'm gonna unglue. Sorry, I'm gonna take the pin off. Okay, and you see this little tail? Instead of cutting it, I'm just gonna dab a little piece of I'm gonna dab my gun there, and I'm gonna, with whatever glue was on the tip, I'm gluing it. And that's why I'm saying these are a lifesaver, because they don't go through and you don't burn your tip. And I burned my tip last time and it wasn't pretty. So there you go. This is the applique. Okay. And I kind of like the look of this one better than the other one. And I'm going to go ahead and do the bow for you guys. I'm going to grab the materials and I'll be right back.